Welcome to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Jones. I am a certified personal trainer, and I'm here to help you achieve your fitness goals without pain. In each episode, I'll share tips and strategies that will help you stay safe and pain-free while you're working out. I'll also interview experts in the field of fitness and pain management. So if you're ready to learn how to stay active and pain-free, then subscribe to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast today. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Jones, and today I am excited to welcome Vernon P. Davis Jr. Vernon is a health educator, author, speaker, and the founder of Morsel Medicine, a company built to make nutrition education more practical and accessible. His work focuses on portion awareness, balanced eating, and helping individuals, families, schools, and communities build healthier habits without overly restrictive dieting. In addition to his wellness work, he has a professional background in technology leadership, and he has a mission for us to eat to heal, not to fill. His personal story of naturally reversing type 2 diabetes is a central part of the message he shares through his books and speaking engagements. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Dana, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing very well. I am currently in Atlantic City and very, very excited. How are you?
I am doing well. So tell us a little bit about who you are and what inspired you to create Morsel Medicine.
Yeah, great question. So for starters, again, Vernon P. Davis Jr. I was born in Louisiana. I grew up in Texas, went back to college in Louisiana. And once I made it to college, a lot of my structure in my daily life changed. So in middle school and high school, I played basketball. Wasn't the best at it, but I enjoyed it. Enjoyed the structure that it provided for my life, the camaraderie, and a lot of life lessons learned through playing a team sport, and not just on the day of games, but in practice and workouts in preparation for. And so once I got to college and did not have that structure because I was not good enough to play collegiate basketball. I quickly realized that a lot of my habits were not beneficial for my body, not for my mind, especially as it relates to being a student and being focused. So, I ate a lot. I was an emotional eater. I really relied on sugary drinks to, in a sense, kind of drown a lot of my feelings, along with just different snacks. And while I was in middle school and high school, that was okay because I had the physical activity structure built in to help offset that. But when that was no more, that turned into, excess calories, turned into a lot of inflammation, and I started experiencing a significant weight gain. Didn't like how I looked, and I wanted to do something about it. I just wanted to lose weight so I can look better. That was it. I then learned that I also felt better. Not only did my clothes fit better, but the man inside the clothes had a different outlook and a mentality as I approached various things, especially with becoming an adult. And so after college, I moved to Virginia to just pursue adulthood, getting out of my parents' home, and as time passed, found myself getting back to those habits that was very detrimental to my body. Staying up late, eating anything and everything that I wanted in times of sorrow, in times of pain, but also in times of just wanting to be comfortable, maybe on a rainy day. And as the years progressed, my body could not take on that without some backlash, if you will. My body was responding in a way that I didn't like, but also didn't understand. And so that's when I started experiencing the symptoms of type 2 diabetes unknowingly at the time, from excessive urination, neuropathy on the left side of my body. I was losing my vision in my left eye. I had a lot of pain in my side, which ended up being where my kidneys were located, the side back of my body. And I remember being on a road trip to a friend's wedding and this was during COVID, where I couldn't make it to the next exit to use the restroom. I had to use the restroom on the side of the road, or I was going to, urinate on myself, and I did not want that. And that happened, more times than I can count on that trip down and back. Decided to go to the doctor with the gentle nudge of my wife upon our return, and that's when I learned that I was a type 2 diabetic with an A1C level over 15.5. My blood glucose level was 476. Not knowing what any of that meant, but it sounded scary. When I looked it up,
It's
I
scary.
quickly understood, the status of my body, and my life was really hanging in the balance.
I can't even imagine probably how your wife felt, because that's crazy to watch somebody, and I don't know if everybody knows. I mean, bodies interpret ingestion of food differently. Some
Yeah.
people can get away with that kind of lifestyle because you're not an old man. So it's kind of crazy because, there are some people that go living like garbage for a long time and then it doesn't catch them until their old age. But for you, there's a little bit of a family history around this.
Yeah, yeah, I've had relatives that had, what we called, or what I knew to be as the sugars growing up, and became blind in both eyes. One relative, lost left arm, right arm from the elbow down, then lost left leg and right leg from the kneecap down, and was wheelchair bound, for the remainder of his time here on earth, and was dependent on family members to care for him in just about every way. And that's what I thought was going to happen to me once I learned what was actually going on with me. And it scared me into action. It truly did.
So you get this news, you're how old?
This was 2020, so I just turned 30.
Wow. Okay, so you're super young guy, and so what's your first step after you have that scary conversation with the doctor and they're trying to put you on medication and do all the things? What do you start to think about?
Well, a transparency moment here. Prior to going into that clinic, I purchased 2 Slurpees and 2 cups of Sprite from 7-Eleven because I assumed whatever they told me on that day, I was going to be told that I couldn't have this anymore. And so I wanted to, have it and be ready to at least take a sip because I was expecting bad news, and I would
Mhm.
drown my emotions in sugary drinks. So after I learned this news, I thought to myself, "Oh yeah, I got to throw that stuff away when I get to, when I get to the car. I'm gonna need to call my mom, my dad. At the same time, I need to call my wife and let her know what's going on, and I need to figure out uh, what this means for my future." At the time, we did not know that we were pregnant with our son, who's about to turn 5 now. But, I always wanted to have kids, and so just really sitting there like I'm upset, with myself, like, man, how did I allow this to happen to myself? But then also had to take ownership as well, and I cried for hours. I cried for hours.
That's I mean, this the Slurpee though, boy, I don't know. Sorry, can't get past it, man. But, so after you get this news, you call everybody, you do the things that you need to do, and you start making a decision about what you're gonna look like from now on.
So I
How
do.
long did that take?
So it wasn't a matter of hours. So while I was standing in line at the pharmacy to have a prescription filled for diabetes medication, I'm Googling the side effects of this medication. And from what I saw, it was a lot worse than what I was already dealing with. So in my mind, hey, let me try to figure this out without the medication. I can always come back to it, if I just need to, but let me at least try to figure it out to at least avoid those side effects. So I actually ended up calling 2 of my friends after I talked to my family. One friend was a physical therapist, a physical trainer, and then the other one was an aspiring herbalist at the time. He is a herbalist now, but he was aspiring herbalist at the time, and that gentleman had just healed his body of some ailments in a matter of 3 months, utilizing natural herbs and altering his food intake, what he chose to eat, and the times that he chose to eat as well. And, he posted on Facebook, and I saw it before I had the pictures, read the caption, and thought, hey, I need something like that. And so I talked to both of those gentlemen. They were very, very willing to assist me because we were all friends. And yeah, we got started formulating a plan that same day, tears and all. So they allowed for me to cry, vent, and express my frustration. But they held me to, hey, this is what you say you want. This is what it's going to take. And we started implementing things from that first day.
So when did you start to feel better? Because if your sugar, so for those of you who may not know anything about diabetes, typically the good range or the feel okay-ish range, depending on who you are, because some people feel like crap when they're regular or not or whatever. But it's about 80 to 120 is a nice range for you. So 400 you should feel like crap. As well as 40 you should probably go seek medical attention because you're probably not that far from being in a coma. But so it takes a period of time to flush that amount of sugar out of your system and for your pancreas to figure out like how it's supposed to work, if it's working. So how long did it take you with the changes that you implemented to start to feel better or I guess, maybe like yourself?
So good question. And some of this was in my head as well. So I'm just prefacing my response. I didn't really start to feel better until I went to the doctor for my 3-month follow up and was able to articulate what I had been doing. I saw that I had lost weight. I had understood already that, hey, my clothes are fitting better, but I don't know what my numbers are. And so once they checked my numbers and showed the decrease, then I'm excited. I'm jolly. Well, yeah, I do feel better because the numbers support it. I
Right.
didn't want to go in there. I remember not wanting to go in there thinking that I was doing better or feeling better and psych myself out. So it was a lot of frustration. And everything I did, I was doing grudgingly for those 3 months. But seeing those numbers and seeing the decrease and reflecting in my conversation with the physician, recounting what we had been doing for those 90 or so days, like, okay, this is working. I can keep this going, and get down to normal. So yeah, that 3 month
So
time period.
yeah, so that's good. I mean, that's about right, I think, if you're making a change, right? Because we always talk about the changes that we make, whether it's working out or changing the way that we eat. It's about that time where you start to feel like, oh, okay, I got this. And you start noticing changes, and of course that helps encourage you to continue into that progress and make maybe hopefully life-changing changes.
Yes, ma'am.
So where did Morsel medication medicine?
Yeah, so great question. So Morsel Medicine was actually the title of my second book. So my first book was titled Uncomfortable Peace, and that was my story of how I reversed type 2 diabetes naturally with no medication from before I was diagnosed, my habits all through about a year or so after my diagnosis, what my numbers were like and how my life was. So the second book was really detailing the exact foods that I ate and the herbs that I consumed and why, the benefits of each of those items. So that book was called Morsel Medicine. As time passed, and I decided to go back to school to pursue a PhD in health sciences to get some credentials and further my knowledge. Right? I thought, okay, how can I be a benefit to just the community around me, and then branching out further on, other than just trying to be a speaker. Speaking is a challenging field to break into when
Mhm.
you're unknown. And so I figured, okay, well, let me become a nutrition educator and speak from a metabolic health standpoint. And when it came time to think of company names, I couldn't come back to anything but Morsel Medicine because my son, who likes to view all of my recordings, whatever they may be, when I've spoken in the past, he mimics everything to the best of his abilities, everything that I say. And he really likes saying Morsel Medicine. He really likes saying it. And so it just seemed like, okay, let's name the company that because it sounds so cute when he says it.
So what was the basis or what was the core value that you wanted Morsel medicine to portray to people?
So initially, just need a small portion of food to heal initially. Then it evolved to, hey, let's eat to heal our bodies, not to feel our bodies. It's possible to feel sustained and feel satisfied at every meal and it be nourishing versus just stimulating and ended up harming our bodies in the long run.
So you also have some, I want to say like visual reminders
Yes, ma'am.
in terms of the plate.
Yes, ma'am.
So what was it? Because I love the plate because we already know there's some issues with the government plate.
Uh,
How is your plate slash portion size different than the plate that the government provides us?
So my plate focuses with primary fruits and vegetables. So our plate is 50% fruits and vegetables and 30% protein and then 20% carbs. And so we like to have everything on the plate, but the amount and the quantity is what matters the most. And while this looks great, anybody can make or have one of these. And there are many of portion control plates out there with you know, different variations of what goes where. What makes ours different, that's not on the market with any other company that I've seen, is that our sections are color coded, and we actually provide
Nice.
the different items to place in these sections so that you can make a meal, it be nourishing, but it also be satisfying and it support your metabolic health. And so we wanted to have a wellness coach without the subscription. Now, having different foods to, direct you to put on a plate is great, but the coaching portion comes in with our lifestyle tips where we address movement, we address hydration, we address sleep and how crucial sleep is in order to help our body recover, because the biggest goal is reducing inflammation, which from my studies is really the root cause of all the issues that we could face within our body, is just high inflammation. You address the inflammation, you improve the environment of your body to heal itself of whatever ailment you may have. Not that it's guaranteed to happen, but you just improve your chances.
Well, and it's something that I've noticed over the years as I've unfortunately had some friends whose partners have had cancer. That's usually the first thing. And I live in Northern California, and in the west part of Sonoma County is a lot more holistic in terms of the medications and also the ideal of that people want to follow. So they do start to go into that anti-inflammatory diet, and where they're starting to get more whole foods and really lean into the vegetables and really get rid of the nasty carbs and not the solid carbs. We even have a couple of places around here that if you are metabolically challenged, whether it's diabetes, you have MS, if you're recovering from cancer, whatever it is, they do a subscription service where they prepare foods. And so you can order meals. I think it's expensive, but you can order meals and that helps support you in your healing journey. So food is medicine. And if you don't think it is, then you haven't been around long enough to see somebody who has suffered. And what you're doing is fantastic, because it is that basic level, right? If I can't afford to pay whatever it is, $1,000 a month to get food delivered to me, then this is something where I can start to learn and take that practical knowledge for myself and really start to learn, because that's the thing, right? It was like how you ended up in your position was lack of knowledge,
Yes, ma'am.
right? You didn't really understand you didn't understand the consequences of what you were putting in your body. Two, it's not like, people who are selling these sugary drinks or whatever are like, hey, by the way, these are the things that can happen to you if you consume them more than whatever it is, once a month, right? If you're doing it every day, if you're doing it 4 times a day or something like that, those are habits that people fall into. And, we know that there's somebody sitting in the lab and saying, if we put this amount, the taste is really going to be ideal and it's going to make people want to drink more of it. And that's going to
Hmm.
up our sales and make us look good. And so what you're doing is kind of busting the system at the basic level where people can afford it and start looking at different ways to cook for themselves and to learn how to apply that knowledge to keep them healthy and alive.
Yes, ma'am.
I love that.
Thank you.
I appreciate I like people like you. I like that you wanna be a change maker, and I love it.
Yes,
Because somebody needs to take care of us, and not everybody
yeah,
is always out for our best interests. So,
yeah, which is
um,
unfortunate.
yeah, you're putting the education back in our hands, and that is something that is definitely noble.
Yes, ma'am. Now, what a person does with the education that they come into the knowledge of is on them. I think it's at least on me to share it because of what I experienced. My uncle told me many years ago, nephew, a lot of the times we go through things not for ourselves, but we get through it so that we can then share that concept and that information, that experience to help somebody else avoid or help them to push through whatever it is that they may be going through at that time.
Yeah. It's very inspiring, I love it. You have some stuff coming up. What's coming up in your future?
Yeah, so today, Friday, April the 17th, I am speaking here in Atlantic City at the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated Eastern Regional Convention, where I'll be speaking on how healthy alpha is a productive alpha with the focus on increasing productivity and reducing the risk of chronic diseases. In addition to that, I'm going to be speaking on next Wednesday, I believe that's the 22nd, with the Department of Health in the state of Virginia, which I'm very, very excited about. Also, in conversations with a couple of school districts to be able to bring Morsel Medicine to their school district, one of my biggest goals is to help reduce the childhood obesity statistics over the next decade. Yeah, so that's what we
Yes.
have going on now. And then, we actually just ordered our inventory for our Morsel Medicine kits with the plate and the deck of cards, and that is in production right now. Got a great update 2 days ago, and so that was awesome to see. We should be fully stocked by the end of June, and I'll also be appearing on the Hampton Roads Today show in Norfolk, Virginia, on the let's see, what is the 26th of May, which I'm very very excited about as well.
I love that. I'm so glad. So if somebody wants to find you, how do they find you?
Yeah, great question. The easiest way would definitely be our website, morselmedicine.org. All of our contact information is there, our social media handles as well. If someone does not want to go to our website, social media sites, Vernon P. Davis Jr.
Fantastic. Well, Vernon, thank you so much for joining me today, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, thank you. And Dana, I do apologize. I didn't get to share with you. In 6 months' time, I was able to reduce my A1C level by over 10 points, and also got my blood sugar down to say it was 92, 93, somewhere,
Yes,
then I gotta look at the number
I
again.
love it.
And it was a drastic turnaround. I lost 50 pounds in that time frame as well, and became a calisthenics athlete throughout this entire process, which was great. Which was great.
That's fantastic. Well, you keep on keeping on. I love it.
Thank you so much, Dana.
Thank you for joining me.